It's Samantha.
Yeah.
Already 10:30 on the clock. I am recording here as well. I'm going to mute my mic.
Does your mother know that we're recording?
How many people are in that closet?
Yeah, how about it?
Sorry.
It's ridiculous. There's 4 or 5 of us in this closet for an office space until we get these offices done. Crazy.
Good problem to have.
All right, ready?
Well, we'd never been in this situation before because we always had control of our building, but this is a lease thing and
Yep.
it's,
It'll work itself out.
yeah.
All right, we're going to start recording, and in 3, 2.
Hey, folks, welcome back to Firing Line Radio Show. Check out our podcast at firinglineradio.com. Firinglineradio.com. There's about, 9.5 years of junk on there. So if you're an insomniac, I can cure that for you. I will definitely put you to sleep. Don't do it while you're driving on a curvy road, but if you got time, laying by the pool or hanging out or whatever, we'll help you get your naps in. Just listen to podcasts of Firing Line Radio Show. Joining me back, I have Dan Smitchko. Dan Smitchko is the owner of CuttingEdge Bullets. CuttingEdgeBullets.com is their website. And as we were just off air there, Dan has made a great offer to Firing Line Radio listeners. If you go to his website, CuttingEdgeBullets.com, use the product code FiringLine, you got a 15% discount. In these days of Joe-flation, every dollar we can save is important, guys. So you've got some great opportunities there. If this is a magnificent hunting bullet, it's accurate, it's got great high BCs, and the terminal performance is really why I use it. The consistency, but the terminal performance for hunting makes it magnificent. Now, we talked a little bit as we went off that we talked a little bit as we went off of there that you make some great bullets for 270s. You make some great bullets for 25-06. And that's where I first ran into your bullet, was in my 270. I was looking for something that would give me better performance over what I was traditionally using, the ballistic tips, which were a high expanding bullet, but their BCs were kind of mediocre. And I found your 270 MTH. I think the BC is a 535, something in that neighborhood. And I realized that out of a 270, I could push that bullet pretty fast. And with that higher BC in a 270, it extended my lethal range as far as hunting is concerned. And that year I took a 28-inch 4x4 out of Colorado at 387 yards, walking through some sagebrush, and your bullet performed perfectly. As my first animal I took with it, one shot, and I got the biggest buck at that time that I'd ever taken. So if you shoot your traditional hunting calibers, your 25-06, the 270, 7 mag, well, 7s have a lot of high BC bullets available, but the 25-06, the 270 really don't. And that's because they have a 1 in 10 twist barrel, but your offerings, the 130 and the 115 grain and the 25 caliber, shoot with the 1 in 10 twist extremely well. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we're not really BC chasers. So, we're after, like you mentioned, a good BC, but not maximum BC. And because of that, it tends to make the bullet a little bit shorter, and they are much more forgiving when it comes to loading. So it also makes them a little more forgiving when they're talking about twist rate. Nonetheless, you still need to spin them right, and you still need to pay attention to what is on our website, because you will be very disappointed if you try to shoot a bullet with a slower twist than recommended. And they might shoot great at 100 yards. You might shoot great at 200 yards. But then you get them out there a little bit and all of a sudden they go haywire and you're going to be not happy with it. So, but
It's
yeah,
a mathematical equation. You have to have the right twist with your gun to
Yeah.
shoot a certain BC. Now, because these are monoliths, they tend to be longer, right? They tend to be
Right.
longer than a cup and core lead bullet, lead and copper combination. And because of that length is why you need the extra gyroscopic stability, not just the high BC, but the overall length of the
Right.
bullet, correct?
that is mostly the reason right there. They are very long for their weight. So you will be limited in the weight of bullet that you choose for your standard twist rates. But that being said, you're going to see terminal performance in a lighter bullet that you've never seen in a heavier bullet. So you get the best of both worlds. You get phenomenal terminal performance, and you're going to get penetration that your traditional mushrooming type bullet does not give you, and you can do all that with a lighter bullet.
So personal anecdotal evidence. I have 27 one-shot kills with the cutting edge bullets on big game. I'm not talking ground squirrels. I'm not talking coyotes. I'm talking deer and elk and stuff like that. 27. And that's all. And I've only recovered one bullet. And that bullet was on a 6x6 at 570 yards in Wyoming. He was a big 1,000-pound animal. And it's the only bullet I've ever recovered. And that had gone through both shoulders, the engine room, and just barely stopped on the other side. So, if you're going to go hunting, you need terminal performance. You have to stop the animal with hydrostatic shock. These bullets are designed to expand with hydrostatic shock, not just by pressure, but by the hydrostatic shock. Maybe you should tell them exactly what that means, Dan.
I think if your viewers look at, the website and look at the gel block video, it'll explain a lot about hydrostatic shock. There are some handgun examples of differences between our bullet and competitors' bullets, and we are in a process of doing that with rifle bullets as well. But it's visibly noticeable, the difference in that hydrostatic shock, how much energy is imparted into whatever you're shooting at, which in that case is a gel block. Substantial amount of difference. So if you check that out, that'll explain a lot about hydrostatic shock and velocity kills, and velocity, the higher the velocity, the more hydrostatic shock you get. Plus, when you have a bullet that comes apart to a certain extent, like our fracturing bullets do, those secondary wound channels become massive inside of an animal, each one of them creating shock as well.
Yep. And not only does it, you heard that it fractures, the front part will come off with these designed pedals, but the core, which is like 70% of the weight, continues straight through. So you've got all the penetration you would expect in something like a nozzler partition, but then you've got the dynamic hydrostatic shock of a more expanding bullet. So it's a great combination in PVC. Now, because it is a monolith, all copper, there are other copper companies out there that, in order to reduce the pressure of such a long bearing surface, they cut grooves in the side of the bullet to reduce some of the pressure of the bearing area. That destroys your ballistic coefficient when you're talking about long range efficient shooting. How did you get around the idea of reducing pressure, not having blow by on the bullet?
Well, as you mentioned, the monolithic bullets are very long, so that automatically converts to a long bearing surface, unless you go about it a different way. Like if you're going to magazine feed, you can only have so much bullet sticking out of your case. That's where you get into a long bearing length situation. So when in the beginning, when we're long range hunting, we never load the magazine up. Number one, your ammo is going to be at a bad temperature if you do that. you're going to have that magazine that,
I always
10
keep it in my
degrees.
pocket.
yeah,
Man,
I mean, that is where it belongs. And that's what we keep it in our pockets, in pouches. We have ammo pouches. And if you're going to let your ammo get 10 degrees or 15 degrees or 30 degrees for that matter, and all your tuning was done at 50, 60, 70 degrees, you're not going to, you have a chance of not hitting what you're aiming at because of just that factor alone.
I had that exact situation in Craig, Colorado. It was 12 degrees. And I did keep the ammo in my pocket, which I usually do as I stocked in, but the shot was like 575. It was exactly 575. And I realized that my gun barrel is 12 degrees. So I added an extra minute of elevation to make that shot, just realizing I'm going to be 100 feet a second slower on my first shot out the barrel. So you have to be aware of that. If you're going to take longer shots, you have to know your rifle, you have to know conditions. And that's just one more example.
Yes, yeah, for sure. And but anyway, our max version bullets are for a hunting scenario where you're going to single load and you're not going to put that bullet in the chamber. I would highly recommend you don't put the round in the chamber until you're ready to shoot. Keep your ammo warm, don't let it get freezing cold or blistering hot,
Yeah.
And that's on our max version bullets. Designated, any bullet designated max, it means maximum case capacity. That means is more bullets going to be sticking out of your case. They're going to be very long, going to have a very short, not a very short, but just long enough bearing surface to give you proper neck tension and keep your bullet nice and straight and run out. And, you get maximum velocity out of it.
Awesome. We'll be right back after this. CuttingEdgeBullets.com.
When you talked about you only recovered one bullet, the rest were pass-throughs, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I just never looked. I just shot at the animal, walked away.
What? Thank you.
Yeah, they were all passers. And the amazing thing, like that, I showed you the video, that Sonora mule deer. The exit one was about 2.5 inches in diameter
Really?
at 500 yards.
Huh.
And people just have a really hard time with this whole weight thing, but man, going to Africa and shooting African game, which is tough, and with my 300 short mag and 130 grain brass Raptor, it was phenomenal. I mean, in the PH, he couldn't believe it.
Yeah, he's like, that won't work.
Yeah, well, fortunately, he knew about us before. Michael McCurry, I don't know if you know that name. He is responsible for the safari line of our bullets, in part, between us and him. He told us what to do, and then we recommended changes and blah, 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 blah. But anyway, I mean, I shot a kudu, which is a very large animal, and they're tougher.
And tough.
I shot him, and he was only about 40 yards, but he was straight on. And I shot him right between the shoulders, and we recovered that little base all the way back right into the height of his ass. So that thing passed through 6 foot at least of animal. And that's a 130 grain bullet with the base that ended up being 80 grains or something,
And he just went straight down.
No, he did take off because of his heart, the heart shot, So he did take off and went 30 yards or something, but Oryx at 300 yards, I mean, wildebeest, it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I'll have to check out the bullets because most of the time we don't get a lot of pass through on our animals. We'll either find it on the opposite side in the hide.
What are you shooting?
Barns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They-
Hate to say it, but that's,
we can fix that.
yeah, high ballistic coefficient, and it's the only 140 grain that I could buy in person and actually look at. So
We'll
but-
fix that for you right quick.
I already have the cart made out on Cutting Edge right now.
There you go. Hey, you
Alrighty.
got a product code.
Alrighty, 10 minutes and 30 seconds. And
We're gonna get into ELR here eventually.
Yeah, this is our last segment.
Yeah.
So do with that information as you wish. And 3, 2, 1.
Hey, folks, welcome back to Firing Line Radio Show. We're here with Dan Smitchko, Cutting Edge Bullets. In my opinion, the best monolithic bullet that you can shoot for hunting, for long range, for extended long range. And that's what we want to talk about this particular segment. You know,
Oh,
got other things going on. We'll have to have you back on, talk about safari or even the pistol. I plan on getting to your home defense line also, which is amazing. But you're really well known for in the extended long range King of 2 Miles community. How did that happen?
well, we were invited, the first King of 2 Mile, I believe, was in 2015. And we were actually invited to it by Eduardo Di Fonseca, and he obviously knew of our bullets somehow. I'm not even really, I don't remember how, but we were invited, and it's like, well, yeah, that's right up our alley. You know, we're going to go ahead and do that. You know, so you know, we went in that time. At that time, it was the very first ELR match ever. You know, anything that was past a mile, and it only went to like 2,400 yards at that time. But since that time, people have learned, and by watching, and actually by I will give, I'm always very grateful to Applied Ballistics. We have nothing to do with them as far as company wise, but they are an advocate of cutting edge bullets, and they are very honest when it comes to telling people that, you know, hey, they have a very consistent BC, which is extremely important in the extreme long range shooting.
Yeah, Brian Litz is the real deal. He's been very helpful to so many people in the long range shooting community.
Agreed. Yeah, and he's really got some good stuff out there himself, and his programs are pretty tough to beat.
Okay, so you went out there, you shot it. What did you shoot?
We went out there. We shot a 416 Barrett. That's our extreme long range rifle of choice. 375s are great, and there's a lot of other ones, but you know, our choice is the Barrett, always has been. And we ended up winning that match that year, and every year since then, except one, Cutting Edge Bullets was the winner, and average 7 to 8 out of the top 10 shooters every year.
Yeah, that's might be saying something there. Now, years ago, I was involved in the BC chase. I wanted to have the highest BC bullet period, right? But I learned a lot of things over this time period, that it can be more important to have a good BC or a great BC, and consistency in bullet design and weight and me-plat pays off far more, because once you know what your BC is, and the true one, like Brian Litz at Applied Ballistics, they actually run you guys through all kinds of Ohlers at different ranges. They do all the math and say, I know the marketing box says your BC 700, but it comes in at 611. You know, this is the real number if you want to calculate for your shots. And so having the real BC, you can calculate your drops, you know what it's going to be. And so that's important to just be as consistent as possible, because if it's off 2 or 3% at extended ranges, your shot's going to be off 2 or 3%. And that's a miss when you're shooting with these kind of guys like Paul Phillips, or you know, people who are doing these incredible long shots. What's the record now? 7,400 yards, something.
Yeah,
Something like that.
You know, but you know, it's extremely important. And if your BC is only within 2 or 3% shot to shot, that's not a good bullet. You know, our bullets are running 0.5%. If they get to 1%, I'm looking, something's wrong. So they're usually running very, very small numbers as far as deviation from shot to shot in a 10 shot.
But in a cup and core bullet, there's more chance of having that kind of deviation, right?
There is, you know, and there's things that you can do to help that, like pointing and trimming the me-plat, like you talked about earlier, making them more consistent, weighing them, weigh sorting will make a difference. There's things you can do to help. But I don't believe there's yet to be any bullet out there that can compete with the laser as far as ballistic coefficient consistency.
That's good. Hey, we have a few minutes left. A lot of people have their first firearms, are looking for defensive stuff. I think your personal home defense, PhD, is some of the best designed self-defense ammunition on the market. The 45 ACP looks like a flying copper coffee can. I love that thing. So tell us a little bit about that while we can.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, when it comes to home defense stuff, there's two trains of thought. Some people want penetration and they want to shoot through, you know, whatever they have to shoot through. Other people, it's like, oh no, you know, we got to have limited penetration. You know, we don't want that, you know, that bullet to be traveling through the next door neighbor's house and all that stuff. That's the route we chose to take. We chose to go for maximum terminal performance and limiting the penetration. And I think that we accomplished that pretty well, because most of the bullets, some of them you just can't help. You're going to get more penetration than you want, and through any normal sized human being, whether it be sideways or straight on, they're still going to come out the other side, but it's not going to be like a solid or something that's going to go for, you know, half a mile afterwards.
Right.
So we did lighten them to the point where we got really good terminal performance and just enough penetration. And that's throughout the calibers, you know, 380, from 380 on up to 45, like you mentioned, which is basically a you know, in the family of our Safari Raptor bullets.
Right. So you've got like 150 grain 45 caliber for the ACP. I actually loaded some of these in a long Colt, and 1,600 feet a second out of a pistol is pretty darn good. It's a little hot,
Yeah, yeah.
but it was a Red Hawk. It could take it. At least that's what they told me. So you've got these things. They feed well. They've got good design. And if you're looking at the YouTube page, I shared a screenshot here of it. It's literally has a cut so that the front end of this comes off. And when you look at the gel block videos, if you slow it down and look at it, you'll see as a bullet enters, 4 petals come off, go in 4 different directions. Now you've got the velocity of the bullet, and it's going at a certain twist rate. So those pellets aren't just coming off, they're coming off in a diagonal or an arcing pattern through the gel because of the bullet motion. And you still have this solid plug that drives all the way through. So if there was a bad guy, he's going to feel even worse for choosing to try and assault you at home. So I think that that's an amazing bullet. It's what's in the Glock 21.
Yeah, those are incredible as far as terminal performance. I mean, there's a lot of other bullets out there that are gimmicky and, you know, well, they cut, you know, hole saw and all that kind of stuff. But, you know, in reality, a bullet is only going 1 revolution every, you know, 12 inches in a handgun, or 15 inches. So it's not like doing anything to the front end of that bullet's going to make it cut any better. You know, it's just, people think, oh, it's going 200,000 RPMs. It's like, yeah, but it's still only going 1 revolution every twist rate of your barrel. So,
yeah,
and gel blocks speak for themselves.
Yeah, I think that's what cuts the marketing out. You know, there's a lot of people selling stuff, and this is the real deal. I mean, like I said, I've got the hunting experience. We took a grizzly with the 270 last year, 270 Ackley. Didn't go to Alaska with the intention of shooting a grizzly. I was on my sheep hunt, but the grizzly showed up and I had a tag. So you dance with who you brought. Would I rather have had my 300 rum? Yes. I'm not an idiot. but those 270, 150 grain lasers, they do the job, you know. It's good stuff. Any last words here? We have our firing line 15 is a 15, was it 15% or 100% discount? What was that again?
It's 15.
Okay. Firing line 15 for a 15% discount at cuttingedgebullets.com. I want to thank my special guest, Daniel Smitchko. Anything else? Last 30 seconds here.
No, I just appreciate you guys having me on, and it's always fun talking to you. You don't get a chance to do that very often. So,
Well, it's because you're busy. I keep inviting you. Folks, I use them because I can, because I want to. They're absolutely awesome. Looking for hunting, long range shooting, personal self-defense, cuttingedgebullets.com. Use the code firingline15 for at least 15% off. Buddy, thank you very much. God bless. Welcome to Idaho.
hey, thanks, Phil.
Alrighty, we have stopped recording on Zoom. The audio has stopped and we are good to go.
Okay.
Yeah, you were talking about gimmicky bullets. There's a company that
We're
makes...
recording still on this.
Oh,
So
my bad.
you can say what you
No,
want.
no, I'm
just,
not, it's not anything bad, but
just understand.
yeah. It's called RIP, RIP, the 45 ACP
Yeah.
RIP. And that was another one of those bullets that advertised
Yeah.
I don't know about the spin rate, but they advertised little to no pass through and maximum wound channels. So it's kind of,
But they're very easily damaged.
oh yeah,
They have 7 very small blades coming off of there, and they're very fragile.
yeah,
But it's marketing. You look at the edge. Ooh, savage, pointy, tippy.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that's marketing. They did a good job with it. I'll give them that.
Well, marketing, I mean, we've seen rise of certain calibers that are exactly the same as other calibers have been around for 40 years, but the marketing team supports one
Yeah.
over the other.
Yeah. I look at it more of like a self-defense standpoint, that if I ever need to be put on a trial for self-defense and they go, oh, you're using RIP ammo compared to normal.
It stands for rest in peace.
Yeah. And so I'm always thinking about that when I'm buying ammo. And
That's
stuff
very
like that.
good. We'll talk about that when we do our CCW shows, because after the fact, if you have a horrible DA like we have in half the country, it's whatever they say. They make crap up.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
And wholesale cloth. And they say, well, that's retracted. Jury, disregard that. Hey, it's already in their head.
Exactly. Yeah. They present evidence in the case, and you saw it with the Kyle Rittenhouse trial.
Exactly.
They'll present all this evidence.
They are 15 at the jury. Oh, look how scary this is.
Yeah. I almost.
That's assault.
Yeah. I stood up. I was watching it on my phone in here, and I stood up and I was like, you're not going to. It was aggravating.
Point. That's brandishing. It's an assault.
Yeah.
He actually committed a crime. He should have been arrested. The bailiff, if he had any cojones, should have walked over and said, I'm arresting you for brandishing a weapon, you moron. Anyway.
At the least. All right.
Hey, thank you. Congratulations. Where are you hunting this year? Idaho, I guess, right?
Yeah, probably just Idaho. It's going to be a little crazier for a while until we get things really going good and all that. So, I'd like to do a little bit more someday, but right now it's not the day.
Yeah, you got to make hay while the sun's shining. Hey,
Yeah.
what about, you ever thought about going back to Wyoming?
Wyoming.
Yeah.
I never hunted Wyoming.
I haven't showed you the videos of our ranch.
Oh, yeah. I did think about that. I would like to do that, and I would love to. Thinking about that Mexico mule deer hunt thing. Muleys are cool,
Yeah. They have some amazing animals down there.
Yeah, they do.
Will you leave the Zoom on that if you guys are going to keep talking, because we only have 10 minutes on this guy? So I just don't want the meeting to end while you guys
Very
are
good.
in the middle of a
Hey,
conversation.
thank you. God bless. And I got my shipment yesterday, so that's awesome too.
Okay, yeah, and we'll hook you up with the other stuff. I know we didn't have some of the stuff you wanted, so next week we've got another machine coming online, and
Fortunately, I have more than one gun.
yeah.
Okay.
Fortunately, I have more than one safe.
Oh, now you're just rubbing it
I'm
in.
gonna stop recording now.